Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on making the most of the summer break. So, if you're managing IT in schools or maybe in universities, you know you've got the summer break coming up, which is hopefully an opportunity to get on top of your admin. So, if you think about the common problems you've had this year just ending, and what can you put in place over the summer to try to avoid those problems recurring next year. And hopefully, I can give you some ideas on things you can quite simply put in place to save you a lot of trouble. Just to introduce who we were founded nearly 30 years ago. And since then, we've sold more than 10 million licenses all around the world. We have more than 30,000 customers, most of whom are education customers. So we have helped a lot of schools over a long time. My name's Tom. I'll be taking today's session. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. We know that managing computers in schools is a tough job, and we're here to try and make it easier. So this is what we're aiming for, just that tip of the iceberg. Users see computers that work, happy user experience, no complaining, all the stuff that goes on under the bonnet. You're taken care of, you're automating most of it, and your life is serene and your user's life is serene. That's what we're aiming for. But we know that it's not often like that. There are quite a lot of very familiar challenges for an IT manager in a school. Budget constraints, so often you've got limited funding, so that may restrict your ability to implement necessary upgrades or purchase new equipment or hire additional staff. You've always got security concerns because educational institutions store sensitive information. That student information, that faculty information is sensitive. So education is a prime target for cyber attacks. So IT managers have to implement robust security measures to protect against those harmful data breaches. And user support can be a challenge. You've often got a large and diverse user base, including students, faculty, and staff. So that requires efficient help desk services and user training programs to address technical issues, promote IT literacy. Then you've got device management. It can be difficult to manage a variety of devices, including desktops, laptops, tablets, mobile phones. There's challenges there in terms of provisioning, maintenance, security, software updates. And then software licensing and compliance. You've likely got a lot of licenses for a lot of software, so it can be complex and time consuming to manage those licenses and to keep your software up to date. So with all these demands on an IT manager, it's not really surprising that many report that they don't really feel like they're using their time efficiently. And if they actually analyze carefully how they spend their time, they sometimes seem to be doing the same manual tasks over and over again, rather than actually genuinely solving some of these problems. So this is the life of many an IT manager. You might feel like you're putting out fires forever, just moving from one disaster to the next. You might feel like you're using your resources ineffectively. It doesn't have to be like that. Faronics has a tool called Deep Freeze. I mean, we have a set of tools which I'll go into, but which I can go into in today's webinar. But we have a unique tool called Deep Freeze, which can get you out of that reactive mode and back on the front foot so that you can start spending your time on strategy rather than on admin. So if that's you in the picture, you're the firefighter and you recognize those problems I've just described, then luckily we can help you out. So I'm going to introduce Deep Freeze, which can really help with those problems I described. It's a very simple concept, which is reboot to restore. So if you enable Deep Freeze, on a computer, then any time you restart that computer, it will restart in its original state. So any local changes made by whoever used that computer will disappear. And you might be thinking, well, all your students are going to lose all their work all the time, but there's no need for that to happen because it can all be synced to a cloud drive very easily. There are several benefits to deep freeze. Very simple concept, several big benefits for a school or a university. So the first benefit is that a large proportion of help desk tickets will disappear because those snagging day-to-day issues that eat up your help desk time, something's gone wrong with the computer, whether a student's deliberately messed it up or whether there's an accidental configuration change or anything wrong at all, really, you know that you're just a restart away from resolving that ticket, and you don't require a high level of technical expertise to understand that. So you could have, for example, the school librarian wouldn't need to trouble you. It would just be a case of restarting the computer and the issue is resolved. The second benefit is security. Deep freeze is a very powerful layer of security. Obviously, you're under attack all the time, and when you are attacked, or when an attacker makes it through your other lines of defense, you know that with deep freeze, a restart will eliminate any malicious code forever. So a virus will simply disappear from a workstation with a restart. You can restart centrally, so it's a cloud product, so you can manage everything centrally, all your computers in one cloud console, and you suppose you did have a security concern, you could just restart all your computers. You could just restart 3,000 computers from your cloud console if you needed. But deep freeze does really reduce your security risk. Third benefit is data privacy. So just looking at those students there coming and going through the course of a day, lots of students using the same device over the course of a typical day. You don't really want each student to have access to the previous student's data, maybe their work or their browsing history. But with deep freeze, you can set idle time tasks or restart tasks or a shutdown task. So you could, for example, schedule a restart task on the hour or at the end of a lesson, so that suppose the bell goes at 3 o'clock, these students move out, the next students move in, and there's a restart task scheduled at 3 o'clock, then the incoming students are working on fresh machines and can't see anything that happened before them because deep freeze has cleaned out the hard drive. And you can also set an idle time task. So you could say that if a device is idle for a certain number of minutes, then we'll say that that requires that restart. So suppose no one touches the device for 10 minutes, then you can restart. So lots of ways of preserving the privacy of your users. You can prevent configuration creep. So you can stop users changing settings that you don't want to change. You can maintain a consistent state across your students, or as many different consistent states as you like. You could have several different configurations for different groups of students, or your teachers you might want to use deep freeze on as well. So you want to make sure that everyone's using the same settings, the same apps, and you don't want them changing certain things on the computer. Well, with deep freeze, you make sure that a restart will recover the device to the state that you're happy with, and you could schedule a restart every day if you want to. Every day starts with the right configuration. And last but not least, Deep Freeze will slow the impact of hardware degradation. So your hardware is expensive. So if you think about the amount of money that you spent on all the hardware in a school, that's a lot of money. And you want that investment, you want as great a return on as possible. Deep Freeze will give you a bigger return on that expensive investment because instead of each device getting cluttered up over time with all the temporary files and all the junk that gets accumulated over the typical lifespan of a computer, instead of that, you have basically a new computer with every session, and you're therefore optimizing the performance of that expensive computer, and you are prolonging its life, and you are delaying the fateful date when you need to spend hundreds of thousands of euros on replacing it. Okay, so that's deep freeze, and that's really one of a package of services in Faronics Cloud that will make an IT manager's life easier in a school or university. A further service that we offer is software updates. We can automate your software updates for you and your Windows updates. It's very simple to set up, and once you've set it up, your patches will deliver overnight. And that is important from a security point of view. If you delay delivery of especially Windows security patches, but all kinds of other patches, then you are leaving a window open through which an attacker might invade and take all your data, and in the worst cases, lead to a serious impact on the whole operation of the school or the university, and also a lot of money. And there's never really, you don't need to leave that window open. You can schedule your patches to deliver overnight. So, for example, you could wake your computers up at 2 a.m. You could set your computers to wake up at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. You deliver all your patches and you shut them down again at 3 a.m. So the automation of software updates, the automation of Windows updates can shut that security window, but also typically save a huge amount of time. If you think about the amount of time it takes you to deliver, well, firstly, to package up the updates, secondly, to deliver them, and then thirdly, to verify them, have they indeed delivered or not. All of that can be completely automated. So that's one layer of security in a package of layered security. Just showing you some scary news articles from around the world. Unfortunately, schools do make appealing targets for ransomware attackers because data is precious and sensitive, and sometimes budgets are low. So the way we look at this at Faronics, and that this is a quote from one of our customers, Greg, he's saying that layered security is a no-brainer. So really what he means is that you don't want to be relying on one line of defense against someone who wants to attack you. You really need more than one layer of defense. So I'll run through in Faronics Cloud the layers of defense that you have available. So the more layers of protection you can pile up, the better. So the first layer is antivirus. So this is going to stop the obvious bad stuff like viruses, worms, Trojans. Sometimes antivirus be running, but maybe definition's not up to date. And sometimes maybe smaller schools are lagging behind bigger schools and there's vulnerability there. Um, so if something bad makes it through the first layer, then they're up against the second layer, Faronics anti-executable. So this is a really strong whitelisting tool that's only going to allow approved programs through, and it's going to stop everything else like targeted attacks or zero-day threats or mutated viruses. And then the third layer of protection is software updates. As I just mentioned, having an application installed does not guarantee it will be kept up to date. But you can schedule your updates to go live almost as soon as they're ready without disrupting any users at all. The fourth layer of protection is Windows updates. Very typical in a school that there's a wide variety in builds and patches, and it's often messy and complex and risky. And there's often a lag between Windows issuing a patch and it being delivered. So you can just completely simplify all that, keep everything centralized, keep it consistent, and close that window to ransomware attackers. Kiosk mode allows you to limit your risk, especially useful in schools because it basically locks down the desktop. So you can say to your users, these are the applications and web links I present. This is all you can access and no more. And there's a whole suite of further restrictions you can place on your users. So you can limit the harm that can come in, that you can limit the harm that your students can introduce to your network, whether deliberately or accidentally. So five very powerful layers of security, but if an attack still makes it through those first five layers, it will arrive at the final and most powerful layer, Deep Freeze, which is basically a powerful reset button. So if you press that button, then Deep Freeze will eliminate anything bad forever and restore your computer back to its original state in seconds. So Deep Freeze makes your devices extremely resilient. Okay, so our layers of security can can reduce your risk of attack and can make you more efficient. And then another important tool in Faronics Cloud that can make you more efficient is imaging, which is particularly relevant this summer because support for Windows 10 is ending in the autumn. So this summer is a good time to be re-imaging your devices for Windows 11. And at Faronics, we can make it easier. So if you're looking at refreshing your hardware or completely overhauling it, or if you already do a lot of imaging and you're looking for ways to make it more efficient, then this session or Faronics imaging, sorry, can make a lot of sense, can make your life easier. Basically, you've got in your cloud console, you've got one imaging page that provides easy access to imaging information across all computers, as well as options for USB imaging, cache imaging, and pure cloud imaging. And you can easily create and capture images of a specific operating system from a reference computer that you're happy with, and then easily deploy it to other computers. So this diagram just shows you a typical setup for imaging with Faronics Cloud, just to run through the steps you would need to get going. So you'd set up the imaging server in your local network and then configure the settings in the cloud console. So having installed an imaging server, you can either use Windows deployment services or go ahead without Windows deployment services. Create a local user account to allow managed computers to communicate with the server and secure a network share. Then you specify the image repository location where you want to hold the images, and then you add the images and the drivers. This setup really shows the same thing, but just to illustrate that you can have as many imaging servers as you like, which might make sense for larger numbers of endpoints. So cloud images are images that you export from the server and export from the imaging server and host on a publicly available server. For example, HTTPS or SFTP server. Um, so the steps you would take would be to launch the imaging server, click on images, which would show you all your images, then select the image you want to create a cloud image of, and then click create cloud image, specify the folder for creating the cloud image zip archive. And then after it's been created, after that zip archive has been created, you have two options, HTTPS server or SFTP server. And you can store multiple images in the same server. Pixie boot imaging can save you a lot of time. Once you set it up correctly, you can basically set up any new hardware on your network to automatically pick up the Faronics Cloud Agent and also pick up the default image from your imaging server. So you don't have to really do anything to image this new laptop. It's basically just a case of taking it out of box and turning it on, and Faronics Cloud will automatically image it. Image caching will store the captured image on a partition drive so that the computer does not have to connect to the imaging server to download the entire image during the actual imaging process. So that's especially useful maybe if you have a member of staff that leaves and you're re-imaging that computer for a new member of staff. USB imaging is available, which is probably most relevant for smaller setups, but maybe less likely to be helpful if you have thousands of devices that you're looking to image, but it is an option for smaller deployments. Yeah, so in general, most organizations would create a new golden image build maybe once a year, but from Windows 10 onwards, it has become more difficult to keep up to date with the new builds that come out every quarter. So to simplify this, Faronics has implemented a modular-based image technique in the Faronics Cloud product to eliminate that need to create a new build or golden image again and again, allowing administrators to reuse most of the required components and speed up the deployment process. So Faronics Cloud allows admins to split the monolithic PC image into multiple logical layers, like an operating system layer, driver layer, user configurational layer, and application layer. And that can then be deployed in a logical sequence to simplify the OS deployment process and make it less resource intensive. The web-based console allows admins to easily manage that overall image deployment process, and it's easy to deploy a single image to any computer make or model. So that saves a considerable amount of time by eliminating the need to maintain a large library of lots of images. So this screen would show you some of your options for setting up deployment packages, choosing there your imaging server, image, install settings, product key, driver group, and a couple of advanced options. So you can run a custom script in pre-imaging, and you can choose as a post-imaging task to install certain app presets. You can maintain a library of app presets and install all pending Windows updates. During the imaging process, you're always going to know what's going on. So on this screen, I'm imaging 4 workstations, and I can see exactly what stage they're up to. So the Cloud Console gives you complete control over the process. So yeah, just to summarize on imaging, the modular approach allows single image to be deployed to any device. You don't have to create model-specific images to support various hardware types. Allows network-based installation of Windows, so that's going to save you time and money. Using standard Windows file formats and independent of hardware, one image can be deployed to any device without having to write complicated scripts, and you can deploy, update, and patch applications independent of the Windows OS image, and it's faster than traditional imaging. So just kind of, I've talked a bit about patch management, talked a bit about security, and a bit about help desk, but really looking at all the components of endpoint management, Faronics Cloud can help you a lot in four key areas. So inventory and analytics, I haven't really touched on today, but that would be the other real main um, benefit of Faronics Cloud is that you have a real clear picture of what is going on in your school. Lots of really helpful reports and dashboards that allow you to make strong decisions rather than guessing about what's happening across your computers, your applications, your users. You can see really easily. And our support is friendly and personable and easy. You're definitely going to be talking to real people, friendly people, rather than to robots. And we're quite proud to offer 24/5 support. So on a working day, 24-hour support available on the phone. So you're going to be able to ring us up and speak to someone uh, normally very quickly. So just to summarize, the key benefits of Faronics Cloud, you can save money in person hours, help desk tickets. You don't rely on servers anymore. Uh, well, you would need an imaging server, but I mean for the management of your endpoints, Faronics Cloud is a cloud product. You're not relying on an on-premise server, so you're reducing the investment in maintaining that. It's a scalable investment software as a service. You can contract only what you need, and you can increase your security with the layers of security I described and reduce the risk of being hacked. There's a free trial available. Please have a look at faronicscloud.com, sign up for the free trial, try it for yourself. Any of the services I've described there, feel free to give it a crack, test it out, and please contact us. We're happy to support you with any questions through the trial process. So if you are interested in learning more, I'm sure many of the delegates on today's session will have an existing partner. If you have an existing Faronics partner, please get in touch with them. They'll be happy to tell you more about some of the services I've described there. Or if you don't have a relationship with an existing partner, please check out faronicscloud.com, where you can find lots more information about Faronics Cloud and plenty of ways to get in touch with us to find out more and sign up for a free trial if you're interested. But anyway, thanks very much everyone for joining today's session. I hope it was useful. I hope that the summer break proves productive and you're able to get ahead of your admin for the next school year. And I hope you have a smoother, calmer time of it with less day-to-day issues and a happier school year ahead. So thanks very much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next webinar. Thank you very much. Bye bye.